Have you ever wondered why it's so hard for people to create lasting change? Or maybe they try and they try and they try, but nothing sticks. And so change doesn't happen, either because they never attempt to or because they're trying, but it never lasts. Well, there are two really big factors in why this happens. And today I'm going to talk about both of them. And you might even be surprised because I feel like I'm going to give you a different perspective than you've probably ever heard before on this subject. For those of you who are new here, I'm Ketra Thompson, and I'm a certified master hypnotist and a life recovery coach. I help people create lasting changes in their life on a subconscious level. Now, before we dive into this topic, I do want to mention, please hit subscribe so you can be notified every time I post a new video, and click like if this content resonates with you and you are enjoying the content of this video. I would also love to hear your comments and questions below. And if you'd like to find out more about working with me, there's a link in the description below allowing you to set up a completely complimentary consultation call. This way you can find out all the details about what I do, ask all your questions, and I can actually help you get to the root cause and the heart of the issue that you're dealing with currently. So check out those details in the description. So why do people not change, even though what they're doing is clearly messing up their life? Well, first, we really have to take a look at how the subconscious mind is programmed. We come into life with this kind of blank slate in our subconscious mind. And from birth till about the age 7, some people think age 10, somewhere around there, we're just taking in information. It's like we're in a state of hypnosis and we are assigning meaning to every interaction that we have, everything people say to us, everything we watch them say to each other, everything we witness, and we are assigning meaning to what those things stand for, and then we write this blueprint in our subconscious mind. We create this blueprint because we need it to have a map for our life, how we're going to function. But the problem is, we assigned meaning to all those events, all those words, all those things with no discernment. We had no life experience. We didn't really know what was right or wrong or what should or shouldn't be happening. We just assumed that our life experience is the way it should be, and our meaning that we assign is correct. And then we function out of those belief systems for the rest of our life. And when you realize that your subconscious mind is actually what's driving over 95% of everything you think, feel, and do, then you realize how important that subconscious programming from those early years really is. In many ways, these subconscious programs create coping mechanisms. Those coping mechanisms help us survive childhood. Even if we didn't have some hugely dramatic childhood, if we had some level of neglect, if our parents weren't there for us in some way, shape, or form, they create a coping mechanism that helps us get by because we don't have an escape route. We don't have a way to get away from our childhood. We're stuck in it. And the coping mechanisms do us a favor by helping us survive. But then we grow up and we keep those coping mechanisms in place in our adult life where they're no longer serving us and they no longer have a purpose. So I want you to imagine for a moment if they took a Scooby-Doo character or the cast of Scooby-Doo, they just plucked them right out of that cartoon series on TV and put them in the real world where you live in your house right here, right now. They would constantly be on high alert. They would be looking for the monster because their life experience is all about catching the monster and revealing the bad guy. And they would be looking for that everywhere, expecting it. Even if it didn't happen, they would still be expecting it because that's the way they are used to functioning. So they're doing this, looking for the bad guy, even though in the real world, the bad guy or the monster doesn't exist. This is what happens when these old belief systems that have created old coping mechanisms are still going on, running the show of your subconscious life, driving your behavior in adulthood. And so you just can't seem to just see clearly because your perception is, in your mind, 100% accurate. You know that you know that you know, except for it's not. So people end up living their life refusing to see that their perspective is not fully accurate. Their feelings were real, but their perspective in the world they're in at the moment is not always accurate. So I mentioned that there's 2 factors in why people don't change. And I just talked about one, where our subconscious mind has been programmed a certain way, creating coping mechanisms, and then we carry those into adulthood and they're no longer accurate. But there's another reason why people really struggle to change. And I want you to listen up, all you enablers. Here's the reality. If you have any hope for any of your loved ones that have toxic behavior patterns, that are dysfunctional, if you have any hope for them changing at all, then the pain of them staying the same must exceed the pain of them changing. Let me say that one more time. The pain of them staying the same must be worse than the pain of them changing, because change is hard. It is uncomfortable. It takes us out of the neural pathways we're used to functioning in. And it has to be driven by enough motivation for us to willingly choose this uncomfortable situation called change. Now that means the more you excuse their behavior, or ignore it, or bail them out, or allow them to continue behaving that way with no consequences or boundaries around your emotional safety, the more they stay comfortable. And they don't feel the consequences of their actions, and they aren't motivated to change. And you can apply this to yourself as well. If you surround yourself with people who never hold up a mirror to you, are never kindly honest, and I mean respectfully honest, about the things that might not be healthy dynamics in your life, then you're surrounding yourself with enablers. And you might be an enabler to someone else as well. And the more they're enabled, the more they refuse to change. Now let me be clear. You cannot force anyone to change. But that doesn't mean you should continue to enable bad behavior. You can have boundaries in your own life that don't tolerate toxic behavior. And if you don't have the self-confidence and the connection to your self-worth enough so that you don't fear their rejection, then that's an issue you can work on so that you can create those boundaries and hold them without crumbling under the weight or fear of their rejection. So let's remember, you can be the one that decides that you're sick and tired of your own limiting beliefs, your own patterns, your own old coping mechanisms, and you can decide to get the help to change yourself. Because truly, when you change yourself, you change the dynamic of everyone who interacts with you. When each of us is connected to a deep sense of self-worth, to our confidence, where we can just function in a healthy, connected way, knowing that other people's behavior does not define our worth, that's when we're finally in a place of power in our life. This requires some work. It requires someone to integrate their past traumas, reframe their subconscious belief system and that core belief system that's driving that behavior, reframing it on a subconscious level so they actually create traction and change in their life. And reaching that on a subconscious level can only be done through a customized hypnotherapy process. Because otherwise, our subconscious mind is not accessible past the ages of 7 to 10, at least not easily. So when we're in a hypnotic state, we finally have access to the subconscious mind. Then you can live a life that finally reflects your most authentic self and not your old programming that was just put there by someone else. Eliminating those subconscious blocks is the most rapid way for you to create transformational change in your own life. And whether you're the one that has the bad coping mechanisms that might be toxic to other people, or you're the one dealing with someone in your life that has toxic behavior and you don't have the strength or boundaries or connection to your self-worth to actually stop enabling them. In either situation, you need to address what's driving that belief system and what's driving that ongoing behavior. So if you're really ready to make that change, and I mean it, really ready to take your life back, set up that consultation call. You won't regret it. You'll get so much clarity and you'll finally have a path that helps you understand how to get to the place where you want to go. So before you go, I also want to mention there is a link in the description for a free hypnosis relaxation download of mine. Feel free to download that for free and just start helping yourself get a little more relaxed, calming your nervous system, calming that mind down, and kind of getting out of that busy rat race cycle that our mind sometimes gets in. That is my free gift to you, so check that out. And remember, when you change yourself, you change the world. So you are worth investing in. Until next time, curate a life by your own design.